meet you.
You as well. Appreciate your time.
You're rocking the LA hat.
Yeah, this is from you too, man. I mean, I'm a AJ Pollock fan. I don't know about a Dodgers fan, but when you're playing, I'm rooting for you.
I know you are.
But yeah, man. I mean, great to have you on the podcast. I've been kind of slacking with these, but I always enjoy these conversations. And some of the best conversations I've ever had have been with you about life, about flow, about athletics and sport and mindset. So I think, this is a cool conversation to be able to share and just go from there.
Hopefully we can replicate it. I mean, yeah, like I said, when I work out with you, it's like therapy, So hopefully, hopefully we can kind of do a little bit of what we do when we're working out and the stuff we talk about.
Yeah. So let's start with just your background. I mean, tell people, your story, where you're from, playing at Notre Dame. Let's just start with that, going to the Diamondbacks, and then we'll flow with that.
Okay. From Connecticut, really small town, one stoplight town, 5,000 people. It was pretty much me and my buddy were the first guys that played Division I baseball, so.
From the town?
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple guys that walked on and, but it was, it was pretty cool seeing. He went off and started off at UConn and then transferred to Maine and then transferred to Notre Dame. So he met me at Notre Dame. Yeah, I mean, I was small growing up. I was tiny and didn't really have that many people on me. It was between University of Vermont and then the Naval Academy and then UConn. So I wasn't recruited very much. Actually, Maryland brought me on a visit there and then never offered me anything. So I went down there and did all the whole, they're courting me, they're showing me the football game and everything, and then never got an offer there. I was pretty much set to go to UConn, and then Notre Dame was the last second thing. So I was like their last player that they needed to recruit. Got like a couple $1,000 of scholarship money. Sorry, Dad. It's like a pretty expensive school, but then I went there and just had to prove myself. I was a starter freshman year. I started a little bit, and then I actually got benched for a little while for making a couple errors, and then got my job back and started the rest of my career there. Then got drafted by the Diamondbacks. I wasn't really recruited that much for the draft until I went to the Cape. And, I was a good player at Notre Dame, really good player, but, I don't think anyone really knew who I was. And then when I went to the Cape, played for Falmouth and just, lit it up. I think I hit like close to 400 with a bunch of homers. Played good defense, and so like when I came back for my junior year, it was like chaos. There's scouts every day. I think I met with every single team. I mean, I was doing Notre Dame. I mean, I didn't belong at Notre Dame school-wise, and I was trying to do that, and then doing 2-hour meetings with this scout, and then the next day was the Mariners, and then it was the Diamondbacks, then it was constant, and then they would have change for a couple scouts would. We would get fired or something, so they bring in a new scout, so I had to redo that interview. So it was a lot, but it worked out. Got drafted by the Diamondbacks, and they sent me right away to their minor league team, which was in South Bend, Indiana, my college town. So that was wild. I living in the baseball house with 9 other baseball guys, and school starting, and so it was just parties every night, and I'm trying to play baseball at the same time professionally now. So that was crazy. I got up to I played the next year. I got hurt, missed the whole season. I was supposed to go to California for that league, and then next year I went to AA in Mobile, Alabama. And then the following year was half the season in Reno for AAA. And then I got to the big leagues that year. I was up and down 6 times that first year. And that was 2012. Played with the Diamondbacks for 7 years. Signed with the Dodgers in 2019. And this is going to be my third?
With the Dodgers. Fourth, yeah.
Yeah, 4th year with the Dodgers.
You're officially an OG, man. That's just wild, right?
You're the young buck in MLB, in baseball, you're the young guy and then you're the old guy. There's no transition. It's crazy.
I feel like you're going to change that. You're changing that, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, come on. This is mindset, man. It's like, you're not old. You're young, man.
I mean, old's a number. I mean, it's for the front office, they have their algorithms and the age goes in there and it's, I get what they're coming from. They're kind of looking at it from a big picture thing, but you're right. I don't feel like I'm.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Yeah.
Going back to when you hit the Cape, so looking at that now, having the perspective that you have, do you feel like anything led to that kind of tick up performance? Was it luck? Was it the way you looked at it? Like looking back at that, was there anything that you think contributed to that, or was that just that was your potential when you just hit it?
I had a big chip.
Yeah.
I still do. But it was like I was from a small town. Didn't quite know like how good I was. I knew I was the best player in our area, but I didn't know, I didn't play against guys from Texas. I didn't play against these guys around the country. So I had no idea, who I'm gauging myself against. And then I went to Notre Dame and then, I went there with a pretty big chip and, I'm walking around, Kate will tell you, I'm walking around the dining room, chest out.
Yeah.
A little bit of fake
as you should, man.
Yeah, a little fake it till you make it, but and then we're playing against these, we're playing against each other, and I'm realizing that, I could hang with these guys. And so when I went to the Cape, it was the same thing. It was, I came there with a big swagger, big chip on my shoulder, and yeah, I remember going to the Cape. I remember my dad telling me, kind of gearing me up for. The Cape, like you're average and like there's a lot of good guys, he's kind of gearing me up to like, it's okay if, I know what he's doing as a dad, but I remember driving up there and like just blaring music and just being like F that, like I'm about to light this place up.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Notre Dame, who do you play against in that league? Like that's,
what Big East at the time.
Okay. Now it's not, but
ACC
Big
now.
East, you're playing against like New York schools, right?
So like, yeah, Rutgers, St. John's, Louisville, UConn, like West Virginia. It was a pretty good baseball conference. And we've dominated. So like I got recruited by Notre Dame and it was like their selling tool was I think we made it to the most consecutive NCAA tournaments out of anyone in the country. It was like 12 or something in a row. And they had the most wins in the decade, them in Texas. And then I went there and it was like, we were bad.
You dominated.
We stunk.
Oh, really?
We were bad.
Because you played with, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he played in the NFL, right?
Golden Tate? He was with us, yeah. Yeah, he played baseball. He's crazy talented. I think he was a year behind me. Super, super athletic. Like when he put the ball in play, I think his straight line speed, it was probably it was well above average, but like his go, he was 5 steps down the line by the time the ball's even, like 10 feet away. And it was insane how quickly he got out of the box and how quickly he was able to get up to speed. Yeah, he didn't really it's not like he was practicing baseball. He was football, and then jumped into the season, which is pretty incredible when you think about it, that he could, be a really, really good player in baseball and not really do anything about it, not really practice and stuff. So.
Yeah, athletically, man, some guys are just gifted.
Yeah, that guy's a freak, yeah, for sure.
What was Notre Dame like as a college? It's strict. So as a baseball player, was there high academic?
Over my skis for sure.
From an academic standpoint.
Oh my gosh! Like they made me take the SATs like 4 times after I did my initial, and they were just. I would inch up 10 points, and they were like, "We need you, we need you up higher." And then I think eventually it was like, "Hey, this is." I got in from that, and I was a good student, really good student, but I was a bad test taker. I need 4 hours to take that test. I can't do that in an hour. So it was hard, really hard from an academic standpoint. I remember I talked to guys around the league and places they play, and I mean, it's like laughable, some of these places. I don't want to name names, but it's like, that's not even college. Like, you basically went and, you show up when you want. There's no homework. It's like, I mean, it's crazy. And Notre Dame was, you have just the amount of work you have to do. You 2 papers a week. You got, every class is like, stacking work on top of each other. And then baseball, I mean, I put a lot into baseball too. So it was a lot. I was pretty ambitious school-wise for the first semester. And then I was like, look, like, I know why I'm here. Is I'm not going to be an engineer here. I'm going to be a baseball player, and it's pretty cool to get a degree at the same time. And I appreciate the good people that can do all of it. And balance that. But I did my best with school, and I was there to play baseball.
What was that first transition from college to professional baseball? And you talked about it a little bit, but I think the average fan typically doesn't have an appreciation for what you guys go through getting to where you are making money, right? Like, I think most fans assume that as a professional baseball player, everybody's made all the money, and that's not how it is. Like, you're grinding, you're in like Motel 8 type scenarios, like, and not everybody gets through. Obviously, very few get through. So that first transition, and then what that was like for the first couple years, right?
Yeah. I mean, crazy. You get this huge, like, culmination of, like, all your, playing Little League and then high school, then college, and then you get drafted. I got drafted in the first round, so I think I'm the man. Yeah. It can't get any bigger than this. And then I go to South Bend, I stay in South Bend, and you're playing every day. In college, you play 3 games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then you play 1 game during the week, maybe 2. Unheard of to have that many days off. Right. So you go to pro ball, you're going to, I mean, gosh, I just remember the places we went to, like Beloit, Wisconsin. We went to, I mean, there's places in Iowa we went to. I can't even name Clinton, Iowa. I mean, there's places that, they're cool little towns, but like you're grinding big time, and then when we were in South Bend, I remember there was a bunch of guys on my team, and it's just a concoction of culture. I mean, baseball is so unique with the types of backgrounds. There's guys from Panama. There's guys from, Dominican, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Venezuela, Mexico. And, a lot of these guys especially at that level, this is their first time coming into the U.S. And I remember there was like a group of like 8 guys that, I got to talk to them. There's a couple of them that could speak a little English. Most of them are pretty broken in English. And, they asked me for a ride home, and like packing like 8 guys into a little car, and I'm bringing them to where they're staying, and they all get out, and I'm like, I knew this. I've driven right past this place a billion times. I went to Notre Dame. I'm like, you guys stay here? Like, yeah. Like, like we're, like a couple bed, 3-bedroom. They're like, no. Like literally 1 bedroom, like mattress. 8 guys, all of them stayed in the 1 bedroom, shared a bath. I mean, it's like wild. And then the one guy would get up in the morning, go to the field and get peanut butter and jelly, and then walk back. And then he would show up with like, it's crazy.
Yeah. People don't get that.
No. And, from my angle too, it's like, yeah, you get put on this pedestal in the first round, and like everyone's like, yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, are people even like, I'm in low A right now, like grind, like, are people even watching this? Like, are people paying attention here? Like, you really pay your dues in baseball, and it's pretty crazy.
Do you think that model, that system, is good? Not good? Like, could there be a better, like with all of those levels, like that's unique, right? Yeah. I don't think there's any other sport like that. Do you think that model works? Do you think, talk me through that.
I don't like it, honestly. I feel like, I like the pay your dues, but if you're playing in a high level college baseball, I mean, the average of seeing if you can make it to the big league shouldn't be like 4 or 5 years. It should be like, hey, let's give them a 1 or 2 year. I think there's just so many levels. I don't think, and it's like they're hoarding players. There's 2 rookie ball teams now. There's an A ball, there's a low A, there's a high A, there's a double triple A, there's a team in the Dominican, I think, and you want to treat guys, you want a baseline of like, as far as like paying them the right way and giving them the right conditions to live. You can't bring in 1,000 people. The teams can't. I don't blame the teams. That's a lot to put on. So like, I think like, it's tough, but like sink or swim. Like, have a smaller group and have it a higher level and 18-year-olds playing with 27-year-olds. Like the 18-year-olds are playing against each other for a while and. Or just wait till they get a little older, I don't know. It's weird. I see both sides, but, I think there's just too many players. There's a lot of guys that are kind of hey, this guy's got like a 1 in 1,000 chance, but, throws like one kind of funky pitch and maybe he can figure, it's like maybe figure it out 6 years down the road. I think like let that guy like go to a showcase, and if he does really well, like a couple years down the road, let him play independent ball, and then if he flashes something, then put him in Double A right away. And then if he can't do it, I don't know. It's tough. It's a weird one.
Yeah, I guess it's probably one of those things where it's the way it's been done, so they just keep doing it. And from the organization's perspective, if they have a bigger pool, it favors them, right? Because they're like, well, maybe this guy will make it. Like, and if he's how many rounds? I don't even know how many rounds there are.
It's like 50
round draft.
50 kids every year. Yeah. And then they sign guys like undrafted free agents. Then they have the international pools. You got 100 and something people every year coming in to an organization.
The bigger that is, the more chances there are of a guy that might get there. That 1 in whatever it is.
That's the model, right? It's take 1,000 of them and see what sticks. I get it. If this team's doing it, you have to do it. Yeah. But like, say it's like no, you gotta. Let's be a little more specific with who you guys are taking right now. Not to say like there's other guys that are. Some guys will literally be diamonds in the rough that you don't get, but there's independent ball. There's go to a showcase, but I don't know. Sticking guys in rookie ball for 3 years and and just it's baseball's it's freaking crazy sport, man. It's one of those weird sports out there that like when you see a guy in the big leagues like. For the most part, maybe not so much now, but like when I first came up, if you saw a guy in the big leagues, like that guy grinded, paid his dues, and he deserves to be there. Now it's a little weird. You got all the, I don't know. They'll take a flyer on some guy because he's some number on the computer system jumped out and he's got some unique thing, and they're not looking for a guy to go 6 innings anymore. They're looking for who can be unique for 2 batters. Yeah. So it's different now.
The game has changed. Yeah.
The game's changed so much.
Out of all the guys that looking back at that first pool of players that were in your draft class and the guys at the DR and Puerto Rico, how many guys have had let's say successful career? I hate to use that word, but how many guys made it to the show and how many guys are still going?
So like my class, it'd be like my class above me and then my class below me would probably be the guys I played with. I could start naming guys. Like the class above me would be like Wade Miley for the Diamondbacks, Josh Coleman. I'm going to start forgetting some guys.
A small percentage. Like it's like 10 guys out of that whole. Yeah.
Yeah. There's probably, on like 4 or 5 from that class that's still doing something in the big leagues right now from my class.
All right. So looking at that, what are characteristics? Because that's kind of, I feel like that's the nature of this. You and I always talk about things like mindset and flow. And do you feel like, can you see a certain characteristic that obviously is different in all of those guys, but that could shift? And looking at the guys that are still playing and made it, is there consistency there? Or it varies a ton? Because I think that can direct us in that way.
Yeah. The weird thing is like, and I think this is what's cool. It could be, demoralizing for a kid, or it could be really like of relief, like talent.
Yeah.
Like you gotta have talent. It's hard to be like, it's really difficult. You know, someone wants you to stand up in front of a group and tell like, hey kid, if you do, everyone wants it to be like 1 + 1 = 2, right? You know, if you do this, if you hit 10, you know, work hard and you hit 40 balls off the tee, and then you do suicides, you do sprint work, and you do this, and then you make sure that your rotations, you know, make sure your elbow does this, like you're going to make it. And it's like, no.
You have to have the talent.
Well, it's weird because if it's like Albert Einstein, like the guy's on a different level, like genius, right? Nobody questions like, how can you beat Albert Einstein? Yeah, just work hard. And, you know, if you read this amount of books, and then if you do that, like you will be Albert Einstein. It's like, no, I'm not calling myself that level.
Right.
But like, I mean, there's not going to be many Mike Trouts that are going to roll around this earth. Like, it's just fact, right. You know?
Well, there's a limiting capacity to a growth mindset. Yeah. Everybody, it's a good quality to cultivate. Yeah. Believing in yourself and not being fixed. I just can't do that. But at the same time, when we're talking about athletics or we're talking about certain things, like no matter how hard I tried, I wasn't going to get to the show, and I'm definitely not going to make it to the NBA as much as I wanted to. But obviously, I could still believe in myself and use a growth mindset to cultivate other things. But you've got to have a baseline ability.
I think it's different because it's like I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, it's easier for me to see when guys get to the big leagues. It's easier for me to see like the talent there. And then it's easier for me to see like his mindset. Is his mindset going to allow him to like go like this? Yeah. Or is it going to hinder him? So like my mindset like helped me. Like I was very go. Like got to do this, got to work. And I was always trying to outwork everyone. Try. Like, you know, I'm going to white knuckle this thing. And I was talented too, but like that was like my mindset. And it got me, that hard work got me to the big leagues. But like in order to get to the next level, like it's also that same mindset hurt me to get to that final, like not final, but you know, it's never like you never arrive. But like if you want to keep going up, like that mindset it kind of actually goes the other way against you once you get there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure, man. Well, I think a quote that one of my favorite quotes that I know I've shared with you, but reminds me of you, is the John Kabat-Zinn, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And I think because you do love the ocean and you have, you know, taken up surfing, but to me, that's such a good representation of kind of the way it is. It's like, you can't stop the wave. You're not going to beat the wave, but you can learn to flow with it. Yeah. And you can still have a chip and you can still attack with that same flow. Yeah. That to me, your conversation with your and I's conversation alone has been so cool, because to have an elite athlete have that perspective and then teach me about that compete, right? Yeah. That you can compete and attack and have a chip, but still learn to let go and flow.
It's such a unique thing when you're like, I mean, I've had people that are just really incredible mental gurus or whatever you want to call them, but like there's a different element when you're in competition. Yeah. You know, like you can be the peaceful guy and let everything come to you. And I'm not saying that's wrong. That's great. But like when you're like competition, it's like, I'm going to try to kick your ass. Like, and if you don't have that, like I don't see, you know, and it's like I've heard all these like, you know, be peace, you know, and be it. And I'm at peace when I'm trying to freaking take someone 450 feet to center field, you know, and it's peaceful, but it's a different type of peace than someone that's like, I'm trying to think of a different profession, you know, where it's not, it's a difficult thing to explain, you know, like, and, you're going to have, like, if you want to be a professional athlete, I mean, Sean, I'm watching his career and stuff. You step into a ring, it's you versus him. And if you want to bring in the outside world too, you got one fan base that loves you, one side that loves you, and the other side really hates you. You know, everything is like either for you or against you. And there's probably a couple in the middle, but for the most part, it's pretty unique, you know. And it's a very strange environment, and you know, but at the same time, like you said, like there's a lot of things that you learn along the way. There's, you know, ways to flow with that. You know, there's nothing wrong with being a little pissed off, you know, but if you can direct that the right way.
Yeah. You know? Well, like so I think, tell me if I'm right here, because I've thought about this a lot. Let's go back to surfing. And if it's a sunset, it's light waves, it's, you know, what you're in San Diego, and like there's a flow to that, and that's probably this peaceful. Dial is down. You can still attack your desire to be present and tap into the flow. That could be attack is a word that we tend to associate with this, like, but I think attack could also just mean being present. Now you're riding giant waves in Portugal. You're attacking there as well, and you're being present, but the intensity, the dial gets turned up, because now you could die. Yeah. That's the way I've started to think about it, is you can attack anything. I can attack this podcast trying to be here with you. Yeah. And with a calm state. Yeah. That's how I think about it. Is that kind of...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love the surfing analogy is amazing. You can use it for like anything. Yeah. You know, I always think like, you know, the waves, that perfect day where the waves are coming in, and it's perfect sets and it's perfect timing, and you just ride the wave, you go around, you get back out into the, you know, lineup, but then it's not really, those are like 1 out of 20 days. Like it doesn't happen very often. Yeah. You know, and you know, those waves that are just about to just crush you, you know, and it's like, you know, I'm seeing that you're panicking, you're trying to fight through everything, and you're getting up, you're back on, you know, off the board, on the board, and then, you know, now if you kind of, with baseball, your career, whatever it is, it's like, you see this rogue wave about to crush you, you get off, you're just chilling, because you think there's going to be a couple other waves, and, you know, and then when it's time, it's like, okay, now I'm attacking, you know, it's like, I'm not burning energy, you know, but I'm always attacking, you know, I'm always in that, I mean, committed or convicted, you know, I'm always, when I'm playing baseball, it's like, I'm always feeling that I'm dictating. I don't care that you're throwing the baseball. You might think that you're dictating, you're not, I'm dictating. So, I mean, and then it's finding that balance between, you know, sometimes I am, you know, the guy we've talked about, the guy that I've used a lot, his name is Matt Martin. He's incredible. And it's like, he's teaching me that, like, it's this balance, you know, and if it's too much attack, and you see it when I'm attacking, I'm doing it perfectly, you don't see it. Yeah. It's, you know, and it's, you see how calm I am, but you're also like, damn, look at that freaking dude's eyes. Like, he's ready to freaking, you know, in the UFC, it's like, that dude's calm, but like, he is ready to freaking take someone's head off. Yeah. You know, that's the kind of attack. But if you're seeing that attack, as we call that, like, you know, you have your pipes, and, you know, that energy's flowing through the pipes, the water's flowing through the pipes. And if you're seeing it, that means your pipes are bursting. You know, you want to be able to, like, absorb it and actually use that fuel, that energy, that attack, and direct it. And that's the constant battle that I have, you know, when I'm playing baseball. It's, you know.
As we've talked about this, I've started to look for it in sports. It's kind of fun to see it. You can see it. I mean, Jay and I were talking about jiu-jitsu, and I think jiu-jitsu is a really good example of that, because it is an ebb and flow of energy. Yeah. And he was saying, it's like, if you're a smaller guy, you probably have to be more technical as opposed to a bigger guy that can be more, but it's still the same. Taquinho, who's Sean's jiu-jitsu coach, I've looked at pictures of him when he's walking up to a guy, and you see it.
It's a look, right?
It's a look. I've seen it, you know, when that game you had when you hit the 2 home runs, like that was there were definitely moments there where you could see it. Yeah. Sean, I see it in Sean. I think that's what he has done. He does really naturally, that he's also cultivated, is that ability to be calm, but he's in attack mode. Yeah. You know, there's you see examples of it. I tend to see now, I mean, talk about Brady, talk about the guys at the top. I feel like there's a consistent, it varies guy to guy. Like, it's not the same. Like, there's guys do it differently.
Everyone's got their own vibration. Some guys are a little bit more twitchy. Some guys are really chill. Yeah.
But you see it.
You see it.
And that's what I think is so cool.
I think it's cool. You can see it, and then it's like, it's not so much, you have guys that are just naturally calm, you know, and that's who they are. And then I think the cool part about like UFC is like, I mean, I'm always talking about spikes, you know, like in baseball, you chase a pitch, you're aggressive, or you something that's so like, how the hell did I just swing at that pitch? You know, like when you swing at a pitch and you miss by 4 feet, like there's something in your head that's like, oh shit, like what was that? And you could see guys spinning, you know, and I do that now. You know, like I feel like my soup is better, but it's gonna happen. You're gonna do that, and the guys that you see that are good at it, they have the look, and then all of a sudden something happens, and you can see them spinning. But you know, my whole practice now, and it's everything. It's when I'm lifting weight, you know, to have everything smooth. You know, something happens and it's different. How do you absorb that? You know, it's not so much, you know, we're doing the stick drill where you have to, I dropped a bunch of them, but you can kind of flow with it, and you pick them up, and someone's like, oh, sweet. Like, you flow with it, you know? And the cool thing about UFC is, like, this dude's going to get punched in the face.
Like, the consequences can be extreme.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else like that.
I mean, look, I don't know, but I'm just like, look, you talk about spikes. Like, I just chased a pitch. This guy just got punched in the face. Like, there's a little bit more of an extreme here with the getting punched in the face. You know, or this guy's might break my leg because he's got me in a bad position jiu-jitsu wise. Yeah. Like, how do you're going to spike. There's no way a human being is going to be like, oh, you know, punch in the face, you know, but how do you roll with that? And you can see it in UFC. I don't know anything about fighting, but it's fun to watch that part for me because it's the same language in baseball.
You're a competitor. It's the same but different. So again, you see it as the ability to, I'm going to use, you know, mindfulness or awareness terms, but not attaching to that. You make a mistake, or it's not even a mistake, but you swing at that pitch, you're flowing with it. You don't let yourself get pulled in a direction of beating yourself up. It's notice it, come back to being present and attacking, right? You're rolling with it.
Always. And you get better and better. The more you're aware of it and present, when you're not aware of it, you could be 5 hours down the road. I mean, this is not just baseball too. This is like something happens in the morning. Guy cuts you off and just yells at you, drops a couple F-bombs at you, and, you know, yells at your wife or whatever. And it's so out there but you're still, and you're 5 hours down the road and you're like, what, you know, you're jumpy, you're snappy. And it's like, I used to never be aware of that.
Your flow is off.
Yeah, and you have no idea that is definitely related, you know. And then you go to the baseball game, you know, I go and I take my first at bat, I chase a pitch, and I'm going to chase pitches when I'm 100% locked in and I'm 100% good flow. I'm still going to chase pitches, you know. But when you see me chase a pitch when I'm good, it's like it's a chase, and there's a spike, and then it's kind of like, you know, you get it back, and then you're back in there, and I still could strike out. I could sky a ball and just miss it. Oh, good swing. It's like, no, that wasn't just a good swing. That was amazing. Why? Because, like, I got, you know, an analogy, I got punched in the face. I got punched in the face and I rolled with it, you know, and that was exactly that. You take that to 600 at bats and that's going to be special, you know. But when you think that's like, oh, I chased that pitch, and that's kind of, you know, I have like gripes about the game now and how analytical and how much stats. That chase that I had my first pitch, you know, that to me that's in the team that's really smart, and like our team's part of this, there's bells and whistles, ding, 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 chase, awful, you know, bad, red flag. And it's like, no, it's not the chase. Like, that's going to happen, you know. And for me, I chase a little bit. I'm going to chase more than another guy. But look how I was after that chase. You know, wow, like that to me is where the you know, for me, analyze myself, that's like, yeah, that was right. Well, you just hit a fly ball to center field. It was like, you know, 300 feet. It wasn't even like, But I'm like, yeah, but that energy, everything was perfect. That's exactly where I want to be, you know?
Love it. Is there any stats in baseball that look at how a guy is after a swing and miss? I mean,
there probably is, you know, and
it's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, and I think the game is so far swung in stat direction that, like, you just have to. It's like we were talking before, you know, like you're unbelievable trainer, right? If it was just as simple as like, hey, his knee has to, or his hip has to turn perfectly here, and that's like. Or you know, in the swing, it's like, hey, if his elbow, when the time this happens is here, it's gonna be, that's a good hitter. It's like, no, like that's not. There's so much more in, you cannot put numbers on this stuff, you know, and that's, you know, I think the game right now is lost a little bit of its ability to feel, and there's the instincts of the game now. And I think the stats part has been a good thing for baseball. So I'm saying this from like, hey, it's been good, but like, you know, if you lose that instincts and you go totally towards numbers now, you don't have instincts anymore. You know, you're going to completely lose the ability to feel when you're trying to use your instincts out there, because this is, you know, it's not going to be there. You're so far gone. And I see it right now. I see it in the game. I see a lot of the young guys come up, and I'm looking at them, and we're talking their energy, totally off. It's off. Like, their energy's off. I don't care. I don't even need to look at their mechanics. Their energy's so bad, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, like, what is it? You know, and it's like, oh yeah, it's the elbow. You know, the elbow, your elbow's a little, you know, or your knee.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes. And then they get in the cage. They're working on that, and their energy sucks. And it's like their flow is terrible, but they're working on this elbow. And then it just comes down to if they get a hit in their first bat. If they get a hit in their first bat, it's like, yes, it was the elbow. And then their energy they luck into their energy getting better, you know? But if they get, you know, out and they look like crap, and then maybe their next bat they look crap, then it's like they're right back chasing their tail, you know? And because they didn't diagnose the issue, because, you know, the game is a lot more stat driven. It's, you know, it's what is your knee, what's your hip doing? And that's, I'm not saying that's bad. I still look at that, but if my energy's bad and my flow's off, why would I touch anything else first?
Yeah, we overlook the complexity of things, trying to find answers, when probably a lot of time the simple start simple and get really good at that. I guess what I'm trying to say, it's like, if your energy is off or your breath is off and you're trying to fix the problem with something crazy complex, you're missing the big picture, I guess.
Totally. And then you look at everything differently. Now the mechanics are tools now. It's literally the last 10% of what I'm working on. And I'm using it for the right stuff. You know, you go to the weight room, this stuff you do is so important for me. But if that's the only thing that I think, you know, and that's what you really understand, you know, you're training guys, but you're also training their mind. You're training, you have a really good instincts about their energy, you know, and you've always done this with me training. And even before I even knew about it, we're flowing, we're adapting. Yeah. You can't always do this, you know, you want to do max squat after a game, but like you get there and it's not a good day to do max squat, you know, like your body's not there. Okay, we're pivoting, we're adapting. You don't teach that, you know, and you start using these things as tools. You know, you use the ice plunge, you know, the cold plunge, you know, it's a tool because you're going to spike. You jump in there and you're going to spike. Everyone's going to spike. And then you're controlling it. You're flowing with it, you know. And when you're lifting, same thing, you know. Are you flowing? You're going to have exercises that are you're doing, you know, as many reps you can. You did that yesterday, and it's, you know, you get to the end, it's like you could fight it, and what does that do? Does that make you lift like heavier? No,
it actually probably takes away from it, right?
Yeah. And then when you get out of there and you go to the baseball field, now you're everything of your day has to it has to be connected, and you have to have the same philosophies throughout the whole day. When you wake up with your kid, Maddie every day is like, her whole day is to try to mess with me. She's literally just screwing me the whole day. Ollie, this guy, same thing. He's screwing me the whole day. Yeah. And it's like, I used to, and as a parent, you see parents like snap. I get it, and I still have moments where I want to punt him, like I was saying, like he's so stubborn, like when I need him to come to me, he's bolting. But like knowing like, all right, I'm flowing, this is, I need to be somewhere, and this dog is running down the street. Like that's a practice, because you're going to spike,
It's the awareness of the pull of the spike that I think is key. You have to catch yourself first. You have to be aware first, and then you can start to retrain yourself to have to probably be less reactive and more, like I always think about it is reactive to me is like that spike, where a response is a more calculated thing. Yeah. If you can catch that spike and then respond appropriately, as opposed to just reacting, I think that's slightly different. It's almost like there's a gap. There's a space that exists between the stimulus and the response, where you get to choose how much you're going to be spiked. You're still spiked because we're human, but you're able to respond in a more appropriate way. That's not going to mess up the flow. You've used this a couple of times already, but you said soup, and I know you and I have had this conversation, but break that down, because to me that was a really cool way of thinking about your spikes and your flow. And I know that's coming from Matt. Yeah. But to me, that's one of the coolest analogies I've ever heard to teach people this.
Yeah. Matt Martin, I can't take his plagiarize here. He's been incredible for me. And his whole thing is soup. The guys that work with him, they always talk about, oh, that guy's got good soup, good soup. And it's not, it's really, you can use it from a physical standpoint, you can use it from a mental standpoint. It's like, from a physical standpoint, when I'm playing, it's like my body has bowls of soup on them, my shoulders, head. And so you're not still, but everything you're doing has to be smooth. You can't have any sudden, so everything, it's dancing. Everything is moving very smooth, and then from a mental standpoint, same thing, it's, are you having these quick spikes? You see these guys that have these outbursts, and, it's tough, because, when I was, in the Diamondbacks, we didn't make it to the playoffs very often. We get to the Dodgers, and we're playing on these pretty big stages, and you have a ton of energy in your body. I'm sure Sean, he's literally going to a Super Bowl every time he fights. Yeah. It's charged up. And some guys are, and you're seeing all that, and to me, it's like, I get it, I understand it, but I've learned how to channel that. And so that to me is that's spilling your soup, you have this good energy, you could still be, but is there some flow to it? Sometimes there's no flow to it. And so, it's a thing where it's really hard to put into words.
That's a great analogy, though, right? When we first talked about it, for me, I thought about it different. I thought about it more from an ingredient, right? And you're it was cool. But to me, it was if you react to something, you let something get to you. That's too much salt. Now your soup gets all out of whack. I think that's another way, but that way, your way is easier to understand. Yeah. Where it's just you're trying to maintain. You want soup in the bowl at the end of the day. Yeah. And if you're constantly you got nothing. It's all over. You're wasting energy, and then you got nothing to eat. You're screwed. Your energy reserves are done because you reacted to everything all day, right?
You see those guys. You see the guys, and you root for these guys because they're we call it, you're either trying, Matt is the one that told me, you're either trying or you're doing with everything, and even talking about it right now, and sometimes there's always going to be an element of try. I'm trying to explain to you when the real idea is just I'm doing it. You're seeing it and I'm flowing and I'm not trying to put into words, and it's just my whole day. I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
But you're either trying or doing. And so like, you see the guys in the weight room. I mean, I'm sure you train a bunch of them, and these guys you really get behind because society loves these guys. And I was this guy, and I'm still have this guy, but I've learned how to have better soup. But it's the guy that's, 5 more reps. And they're I'm gonna, they're running through the finish line, and it's like, there's the worst soup people in the world, you know, and then you get, wow, I have so much anxiety. I get so, I mean, if you think your anxiety is not connected to like everything, what you're doing in your life, like, and I get it. Look, it's sometimes anxiety and sometimes the mental health stuff is beyond me, and it's stuff that needs to be treated.
100%.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say that's it, but like, look, there's, I'm talking more like the guy, if I'm looking at him in baseball and I'm looking at him like, this guy's a mess, like he wants to do so well. How many guys I've come across that's like, they have talent, and it's like, man, this guy just wants it so bad. I feel so bad for him. Like everyone's behind him. Everyone wants to see that guy that looks, he fails and he looks so miserable, and it's like, and that was me. It was like, you want to do good. You want to do good for your family. You put everything on a pedestal. I want to help. I want to prove everyone, this guy was the one that signed me, and I want to make him proud. I win this. And it becomes this thing. It's like so big. And then, you see guys like, I'll bring up this guy because, we talk about him all the time, Manny Ramirez. Love him or hate him. The guy strikes out, strike three, flings through it, bats on the ground, gloves are off, and just kind of walks out, and you're like, that's Game 6 in the World Series, and and I grew up, my dad, be like, that guy doesn't give a shit, that guy's a dog, and I'm like, no, that's the guy. Yeah. That's the guy. Why? Because it's like, he's trying to take him 450 to dead center, but like, what's the spike? People relate with the spiking, and it's like the people just get behind it, and it's easy to relate to because they want to see people miserable when they fail. They do in sports. They especially do. They want to see someone look like this is like they are put everything into it, and they're crying, and they're and they I wanted to do this and they name 5 billion people, and it's like, I get that passion. I understand it. I really do. And I'm not playing. I love my daughter. I love my wife. And to say I'm not playing for them, like that's not true. Like I am, but it's hard to put it fully into words, but that's where I've gone with everything. And I can see, and when you start thinking this, I mean, I know you've been watching too, like when you watch sports now, it's like, man, that guy's a killer, and he's calm. Like that's the dude right there. I mean, what superstar do you look and say, man, he really makes this look hard? No, it's always the other way. It's like, man, this guy like looks like this makes it look easy. Why? Because his soup's so good. He's got the talent. He's got the confidence. And those guys, sometimes those guys that are really good, when they get hit in the face, like they don't get hit in the face very often. And when they do, it's like, I kind of want to watch this. Like, let's see where soup, because dude doesn't get punched in the face, and now he is. Like, and then it's kind of like, then you really learn about him too. So, but I don't know. My whole, it all started with me with Matt Martin, and it started off in LA when I had I just signed with them, and I wanted to, they were like, hey, you hit good pitching, we want you against, we want you to be the next ingredient to us to win, to win the whole thing, and so I really want to make them look good. I want to, I'm your guy, and excuse me, I had a horrible 2 months. Awful. I was a mess of a human being, and then I got hurt. I got a staph infection, and that was a mess in itself too. And then I got to work with Matt Martin, and I went and met him in random fields, and he came over to my house, and we're doing weird drills. And the thing that really got me realizing about the soup was traffic in LA. Yeah. You get to traffic, you have this plan. I'm going to do this when I get to the field. I got this, and this. And then you hit traffic, and you're 30 minutes late. And I'm like, what? Like, I can't, that eliminates like 3 of the things I had to do, And now it's like, music goes up, got some good music. Yeah, this sucks. Like, I'm not saying this is great. Nobody loves traffic.
Yeah.
But like, I'm going to flow with this, and I'm in and out of, I'm not stop, go. And that was the first thing that made me realize that it's all connected. You cannot step in the box after being a mess on the freeway for the whole time and expect to be smooth and calm. And he's the one that taught me that, and it was pretty special. And then from there, I mean, I've had other stuff in my life. I had a daughter being born at 24 weeks, and everyone's practicing because we're, during COVID, and everyone's getting ready for the season. And I mean, I don't have a bad situation. I got this nice cage here. Like, I have good resources, but I was by myself going back and forth. Me and Kate were back and forth going to the hospital, and I had nowhere to, I worked out in my house. There's a couple things I have. You just adapt, and I embrace that. And it's like, this is as important as if I was at Dodger Stadium practicing with my team. I can get better than those guys. Why? Because like, I'm being tested. You're not going to get tested more than seeing your child in the hospital. You're going to, like, that's some serious spikes that are going to come your way. And, and so for me, that made me learn a lot more about this stuff than if I was to have a baby born at 40 weeks and be a normal pregnancy and then just go right off and go start playing with my teammates, like everyone else. Like, this actually got me way better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool it's really powerful that you chose, because I think it's always a choice to walk that direction, if you will, or step through that door, that you were faced with some really difficult situations, and you actively chose to go that direction. Because I remember that. I remember, like, man, like, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I noticed the shift, and I've always really respected that, and it's cool because your experience going through that has benefited me. And that's the goal with, like, these conversations, is maybe there's somebody out there that hears this or sees this, and they're like, man, that's, it might change their perspective. Because I think it is a choice. It's not something that just randomly happens, but it's not easy to make that choice, to see difficulty as an opportunity to grow, which is really cool, man. You go back, I can remember literally us having that conversation about, like, the traffic thing, and then COVID, because Maddie was born, and you got COVID.
I was like the first guy. Everyone was like talking, hey, do you know anyone with COVID? Nobody knew anyone except for me. I was like the one guy that got
staph infection, which is crazy.
Yeah,
like, all kind of,
Yeah. No, I mean, I look at, everything is tools you're going to, when you're training, to me now, I'm like, hey, you're going to get put in situations where, like, your body wants to spike. How do you flow with that? Okay, you had something in your life that happened that's really intense. Okay, well, I'm not going to try to compare it to the cold plunge, but from a physiological standpoint and from a, in this moment standpoint, a short-term standpoint, it's the same thing. Yeah. Your body spikes, your mind spikes, your emotions start spiking. How do you flow with that? It's all connected, and that's the thing that's tough, because, like, I think everyone wants this, hey, what does my son need to do? What does this guy need to do in order to do something? And there's no, like, I think the answer is just, it's boring. You're waking up, like, you're doing little tasks, you're doing the dishes, like, and you're present doing the dishes, and you're flowing, you have some, and, like, Kate will be the first one to tell you, I stink at that sometimes. I'm talking like I'm like, hey, this guy is, like, dancing around the, the kitchen. I'm not, but I really know that that's important, because that's all I have right there. And then when I'm doing that the right way, then I'm doing and then when you start, something happens, you don't get too far out of whack. Your margin for error is much smaller. Like, you don't get off the tracks as much as you used to. Because you're doing it. It is choice. You're doing it. You're noticing it, and it's fun watching sports now, because that's all I see. You see these little things, and I'm like, man, that guy didn't spike right there. That wasn't, like, how? Like, that was, and it's way more fun to watch sports now.
Yeah.
Like that.
Dude, I told you this, man. We have had these conversations, and for me, it's been so powerful because I believe that. I really do. I believe our ability to be authentic with ourselves, our ability to tune in, our ability to notice the narrative, that the inner voice that wants to kind of pull us in a different direction or wants to pull us into that spike. All of these things are so connected, and to connect with an elite level athlete that understands it and can express that it's benefited your career, for me, is extremely powerful, because it just makes sense to me. But I think I struggled for a while that I'm a pretty chill dude. Like, should I be communicating this message to an athlete? Is it pulling them out of that ability to compete? And then our conversation showed me that it's not. That being present, being calm, all of these things can be used to cultivate more attack, right? Like, there's that relationship there that if you are more present, if you understand this moment is all we have, if you can notice yourself being pulled into the future or, ruminating on it, it's all so connected. Because for me, awareness is just everything. It's what you choose to pay attention to. It's being present. It's tuning in. Is cultivating an authentic or a more authentic relationship with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's,
you don't have to fake it. It's like, be positive. It's like,
sometimes shit sucks. Yeah. I mean,
sucks.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing good. There's nothing fun about going to the hospital every day.
No.
That's not, I'm like, that sucked.
Yeah.
And dancing around, it's like, no, but like,
you're allowed to,
yeah,
it's allowed to suck.
Yeah.
Life is not all great. We go through shitty stuff.
100%. And in the world too. And I look at, there's people now too. Like, I realized my people that are truly in my circle, it's a lot smaller than I used to think. I used to think anyone who was kind of did something, man, this guy really, and I'm not saying that from a like I hate everyone. No, I just see them for what they have, their own journey, and it's not 100% with me. Yeah. Like, in backing my career. Like, look at baseball. Baseball is as political as you can get. Yeah. So, and to think that every GM that you come across is going to be having your back, it's not to say like, screw that guy. Like, no, that guy's got a job. Recognize his job, but also recognize, like, I got a chip on my shoulder. Like, like that. I know that, like, and there's nothing wrong with having a smaller circle, and
you just don't have to take things personal. You realize that.
I do sometimes, though.
Yeah, well, we all do.
And
to me, it's the same kind of thing.
And sometimes it's fuel. Like, when you talk about the pipes, like, if your pipes can't handle it, and you take it personally, and you're gonna get so juiced up because of it, then it's not. Then you have to be, hey, let it go. Mm-hmm. Hey, just let it go, because you have to, because you can't handle that. But if you can handle that, then that's some serious, especially in competition. Maybe if you're not competing and you're not in the world where I'm in. But if you can handle that, then that is some serious, like, fuel, and you can use it. And that, I mean, gosh, like, look at some of the athletes out there that have that chip and that FU. Like, look at Brady.
Well, you're controlling it. At that point, it's up to you. You're dictating how you use that energy. Yeah,
and I think if you're understanding the flow of everything, you're understanding, like, how things are affecting you and how you're spiking. If you understand, oh man, I was spiking like crazy. If you're understanding that, then you can, if you can handle that kind of fuel or not, because there's fuel all over the place. Mm-hmm. When I suck in baseball, I got Venmo requests from fans saying $1,000. I need $1,000 because you ruined my day.
Oh, like, man, yeah.
And that's silly, but it's also like, that's like, I go 4-4 the next day, like, what's up?
Now you Venmo me.
Give me $1,000. I just made your day. Like,
yeah.
And it doesn't ruin my day. Like, it doesn't. I'm not stewing on that. But it's like, you have fans is a crazy deal too, and they're so important. Obviously, like I wouldn't have my job without fans, but like there's so much energy charged on both sides. If you're an entertainer, it's both sides of the equation. They love you or they hate you, and both sides have a lot of energy behind it, and if you can handle it, it's actually a really good thing. Like you see it in sports. You see some guys, who's to say Brady? I mean, can Brady handle all that negative narrative? Like, what do you say? No? Like, look at that. Like, look what the guy's done. Like, that guy, does it help him? Yeah, that helps that guy. I know that helps him. He's already said, that's helped him. Kobe Bryant, I watched that guy. That guy, when he had that chip too. There's very few guys that just don't have that chip, that don't use it and can't handle it, and, if you're going to have, if I have a son and he's asking me, I wouldn't want to shield him from that. It's like, now you're going to have the negative and you're going to have positive. Both can spike you bad. I don't want to shield you from that. I want to help you like use it, It's like, hey, don't worry about don't even listen to it. Oh, what? Like, when you get to the big leagues, like, what do you think's going to happen? Like, you think it's just going to disappear?
Yeah.
Like, no. Like, how do you absorb it? How do you use it? So that's, I don't know.
No, I think what happens is we get so attached to words. So we use a word like let go or like calm, and we associate the word with something. That's where it becomes hard to tie this all together. But I see it as being, I don't have the right words yet, and maybe there aren't.
I don't think there are.
But I see the connection, because it's, on one hand, it's you're learning it all matters. So you're in traffic, and how you choose to be in relationship to that experience has a huge effect on your later ones. So does it turn negative or is it positive, right? So you're flowing with stuff, you're kind of letting go. But then athletically, you realize you can use judgment or you can use negativity from fans or whatever as fuel. To me, it's the same thing. You're dictating how you are in relationship to the experience. Something like that. Like, the energy is now the chip is all right, I'm going to show you and watch me dominate. You belief in yourself from an authentic position. I don't know. I've said I want to like whiteboard this because I see how it's all connected. There's a mentality that's consistent. That's like flow, let go, accept, but not from this not from this completely like it's all good.
Yeah, like that. Because I went that direction. It's tough because in baseball, I mean, I got injured so many times, and it became, I've worked with people that and it's like, you just be at peace, and then I get it. I understand.
Yeah, you're losing. You don't want to lose that chip. You don't want to lose that like competitive advantage.
I lost it big time, and then I would spike big time. Why? Because I'm so far in this direction, and that's not who I am. You want to be true to who you are. Some people are just naturally more chill, and so you're not going to see them get as far. Like, be that guy. Don't be more. To just forget about something. Okay, just forget about it. What?
Yeah.
Something major happens. Just forget about it. How do you do that? You have a Men in Black thing where they zap you. Like, it's gonna be in there. Like, so it's kind of a dumb thing. Like, personally, like when someone says that, like, no, it's like I get where they're coming from. They're trying to help and they're trying to get you. And it's like there's a part of move on, but it's like, I don't need to move on. Like, I'm just gonna flow with it.
Like, maybe it's just not ruminating it. It's not.
I'm moving forward. Like, and of course, like it's like that negativity, that negative energy you gave me. I'm not stopping and looking at it, but it's like, all right, like get on the train because I got a lot more like in this fuel. Like, because I'm going this way. Yeah. It's hard to put. Like I said, it's like something when you're experiencing. It's like, you're not. It's hard to put into words.
Sometimes there just isn't words. Words are limited, man. Yeah. I read somewhere this made sense to me. I forget where I read this, but using like acceptance as an analogy for acceptance and how it's not this passive thing would be like, military, you're in a war, and a soldier needs to accept the situation they're in and then respond appropriately. Like, you can't just, acceptance in that scenario is not it's all good, you're in war, like, but if you're pretending that it's not, like, it's gonna be all good, that's not how you respond appropriately in that scenario. And I think that's kind of the same way in life, right? In traffic, you're in traffic. It's not a do or die scenario. So you're going to not let that spike your energy in a way you're wasting energy. But athletically, as a competitor, you can accept the scenario, but use that energy in a way to respond appropriately. I don't know if that makes sense, but right now your pipes aren't bursting, but it's like, it's go time. Like, you know what, I'm going to use this energy in a way that's going to propel me forward. And versus just completely like surrendering and like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't want to strike out. You don't want to go, you don't want to bat 100 in the league because you're not going to stay.
I don't know anything about UFC again. I watch it. That's the only thing that makes me feel like I'm an expert. I'm not. But it's like the guy that's constantly pushing forward. And maybe it's not out of control, but he's always, and that's attack. And it's calm, but it's killer. And it's like, they're not, it's not like reacting to no, it's like he's dictating. He is, and those are fun. And it's, there's certain guys that I love watching, and gosh, like Tony Ferguson, like that guy's cool because like he's like a break dancer, right? I mean,
he's got some wild energy.
He has some weird stuff, right? But like, I mean, I've seen him get his ass whooped too recently, right? And he's still absorbing and still flowing. He's like still dancing out there while he's getting, and that's pretty cool. And he's always pushing forward. And so it's the same, it's kind of that mindset. Like, that's the attack. It's not out of control. You're trying to find that line between like, okay, that was, that's my pipes burst. I went, I'm in, it's like, but it's just who I am. I'm going after it. I'm going, I'm always going forward.
At the end of the day, learning to be authentic with yourself is never a bad thing. And that's hard to do. It's harder to do than I think most of us realize. And if you can figure that out earlier in your life, or at least understand you're trying to be authentic with yourself, and that's probably a lifetime process of getting to know who we are.
You're gonna get tugged all the time, and that seems like it's helpful, and sometimes it is helpful. Sometimes it's like in baseball, same thing as UFC. Like, I'm an aggressive hitter. Like, I'm gonna swing and miss a couple times, and we always have the charts that say hey, you're swinging too much, and it's like, or you're getting outside the zone, and it's like, okay, how do I get better at swinging in the zone by keeping my aggressiveness? Because that's who I am. I'm always going to be that person. If I stop being that person, I stop playing baseball. And so now, how do I harness that? How do I control that aggression? That is who I am. On the bases, I don't care how old I am. Like, if someone's going to give me something, I am going to attack them, and I'm going to take that base. Maybe it's not 35, 40 like I used to, but it's going to be, I don't know. Like, I don't know numbers, but I'm looking for it, and I'm always attacking. And then same thing in, like you said, just being true to yourself. Because people, it can be disguised as like, I'm really just trying to help you, and it's, people care, like, I'm not saying that's wrong, but like, you have to be a really good evaluator of yourself, and I think the best people I've ever been around, they're not hard on themselves, and they don't big themselves up. They're just real, and they know where they're at, and they know what the issue is, or they know, they don't kid themselves even when they have success. That wasn't right. Like, I went 4 for 4. That was a mess yesterday. Like, I mean, how many times do you have people say that? Like, people that are locked in and that they're like on a different level, they had so much success, and yet they knew that the whole thing wasn't right. Or they go 0 for 4 with 3 Ks, Manny Ramirez. That was right. 3 Ks, that was a good day. Why? I don't know. Everything was right. Flow was right. Good.
Yeah, I think that's life too, man. You going back to like self-reflection and understanding where we can get better. That's a principle that not only will benefit you as an athlete, but as a human, right? Like, how can you get better if you're reflecting constantly? How can you be better as a father? How can you be better as a husband? How can you be better as a human and be authentic with that? Now, I need to, not fake it, but I think that's a good practice in general, man.
Totally.
Jay, how we doing on time, man? Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
cool, man.
Yeah, I think, man, I feel like part 2, part 3, part 4 of this, but it's always interesting to go back and watch it, and then But I think
like podcast in the cold plunge.
That'd be cool. I mean, I'm all.
Has that been done before?
I think Kevin Hart does that.
Did he? Oh yeah, but we would have a way better suit than that guy.
Man,
the guy. Still a suit. But I love him for it.
Yeah,
funny.
But thank you, bro.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. I mean, I think the there's a lot in this. The messages flow. Learn to flow. Go with it.
100%.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Hell yeah. Well, part 2 we might have to do. I don't know. You're almost ready for a season, but yeah. I'm trying to be better with these, man. I'm trying to do more of this, so I really enjoy it. It's fun. Conversations, man.
It's great, man.
Pulling out stuff. But all right.
It worked too.
Yep. Love it. Peace.
All right, guys.